What we were seeking to do in pro free agency was to raise the floor of this football team. And every player that we pursued and that we've now acquired is meeting that standard. And by being nothing more than who they are and who we know them to be, both on and off the field, they're going to do exactly what we would hope they do, and that's level up this ecosystem.
Welcome to Jags AM. I'm Kainani Stevens. Brian Sexton, John Oehser with me today as we're going to go over pro free agency. That went official last week, and we're going to do a sneak peek of the draft coming up as well. Let's go through our big things today for you first. Big thing is going to be intangibly rich. That's something we've heard from General Manager James Gladstone throughout this process. Brian, there's 9 new players coming into town. Not all of them are huge names, but a lot of this is about getting in guys here that they know they can work with or they've worked with before and kind of set the standards for things.
You know, Kai, that was my favorite phrase from Gladstone's introductory press conference. And he used another one there, ecosystem, which is another word for culture. And he was looking to bring in guys who would change the tenor of the building in subtle ways, just by the way they go about their business. And obviously, he and Liam Cohen both had some ties to these guys. Some of the other coaches on the staff did. And I love the fact that he said it and he made the promise that was what they were going to do, and he delivered in free agency. And John, I know you think about this because you've been hammering this team for years about what they do in free agency, about spending, and they went a completely different way.
Yeah, they spent moderate spending on the guys who are going to be starters, the 2 offensive linemen, Yami Brown, a receiver, Jordan Lewis, guys like that. Beyond that, they went after what Gladstone thinks of as these intangibly rich guys. Ecosystem is culture. Intangibly rich, I'm still getting my arms around exactly what that means. But I think here's the thing. James Gladstone knows what it means. He knows what he's looking for. He has the ability to enunciate that to everybody else to make sure that they know what he's looking for. He's always thinking about it. He's always bringing in that type of guy. And I think it is significant that a lot of these guys are with the Vikings, with the Buccaneers, with the Rams, places where Liam Cohen and James Gladstone and Grant Udinski have been before. There's a familiarity there.
Absolutely. Our second big thing today going to be open spots. Now, certain positions were targeted in free agency. We saw a lot of offensive lines, some players coming in there, but not so much on the other side of the football in terms of edge or pass rushers there. But James Gladstone addressed that.
Yeah, we got 10 picks in this year's draft. We're going to have some spots that are actually open for them to insert. So, if you add a veteran at this point, could be just standing in the way. We're going to allow these rookies to, get a chance to get out on the field and help us this coming fall.
Perhaps stoking the fire a little bit there. Obviously, John, we don't know exactly what they're going to do with the draft, but we know any successful team is built through the draft. So talking a little bit about drafting and having them play right away, that's clearly going to be a focus for this team.
Yeah, and I think the places that were left during left to fill during the draft, third edge rusher. I'll talk about it later, but I think they still need a receiver in that front group. Secondary. They're all places, Brian, where they have their starters. They're rotational positions. They're places where guys play a lot. That next nickel back, the next receiver in the rotation, the next edge rusher. You can go get them if the draft falls your way. You might see the third edge rusher be the number 5 overall pick. If it doesn't go that way, edge rusher, guess what? That's usually a guy that you can pick up a veteran in June. There's some guys that you can pick up after the draft in those spots and rotate. So I think that's sort of the spirit of this. You don't want to fill spots where you bring in a guy who you draft and he can't play, but you want to make sure that guy has an opportunity to develop at the right pace.
Our habit in the media is to focus on the first round pick, right? At number 5. And at number 5, the Jaguars could go any number of directions. There will be a top cornerback available. There will be a top defensive tackle available. The pass rusher from Georgia behind Abdul Carter from Penn State is likely to be sitting there available. And any number of offensive linemen, whether the Campbell kid from LSU or the Membu from Missouri young man, there's a lot of opportunities at 5. But what about where you're picking in the second round and the third round, where you have 2 picks? You can find really good offensive linemen. You can find really good football players across the spectrum sitting on day 2, night 2, in round 2 and 3. And I'd love it if we could focus some there. It's harder to project because you don't know exactly, as you start getting into 100 players, where everybody fits and what teams think about them. But when you look at where the Jaguars are picking in round 2 and round 3, Kai, they're going to have the chance to fill a number of spots.
Absolutely. They're going to have a ton of flexibility there, which will be good to see. Our final big thing today is going to be forward focus. We talked a lot in the offseason about what a rebuild here is going to look like, whether it would be a quick or more longer-term thing. As we're seeing them lay the groundwork now, Brian, does it feel like it's not necessarily as much a focus as doing this in a year as doing it the correct way?
Well, here's the beautiful part about it. They are focused on doing it the right way, and in doing it the right way, with the players that are here, there's a chance for them to get right back into that 8-9 win category, which in the AFC South, I believe would put them in the running for the division title. Are they going to do that this year? I don't know. But there's the short-term ability, if the quarterback raises his level of play, for them to be able to capitalize in the first year of a long-term vision. If you go and talk to Liam or James or Tony, they're going to tell you, we want to win this year. But they're also going to say, but our focus is on a 3 to 5 year plan so that when the stadium is up and running, we've got a long-term, sustainable, winning football team to fill this building and to build pro football. I think you can do both.
Yeah, I think clearly that's what free agency was about. Let's get guys in who will, as James Gladstone said, raise the floor, get you better at some spots where you felt like you were weak. I'm not going to lean too much this offseason on the fact they lost so many close games last year, but there is a thought, hey, get that floor up, win a few of those close games, all of a sudden you're back to 500. If the quarterback improves, if he develops, which is, at its core the whole thing. If he doesn't, then not a lot of this other stuff matters for next year. If he does, then you're in good shape. But I think the moves they've made can get you back to what Brian talked about, that 9-win playing in December for something, and maybe you get a lot better than you thought you were going to be. But it's about sustainable, 3 to 5 years, yes. They believe this is supposed to be about sustainable for the long-term future.
All right, stay with us here on Jags AM. We'll hear from some of those new free agents and why they chose to come to Jags.
Floridians, do you know how close you are to freshness? It's not a plane or a ship ride away. It's not across an ocean or over the equator. It's not even a far drive. The peak of freshness is at your grocery store, and it's called Fresh from Florida. Fresh from Florida is local produce grown by farmers right here in our own state, meaning it's always fresh, always in season, and always mouth-wateringly good. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo or ask for it by name where you shop.
Hey, I'm Logan Cook, punter for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Driving distracted or stolen is dangerous for you, and it's dangerous for everyone on the road around you. Ride with Do Not Disturb. That call, text, or social media message can wait. Choose your music before you turn on the ignition. Anytime your eyes are not on the road ahead, you're distracted, so pay attention. But remember, drive high equals DUI. Plan ahead, have a designated driver, keep a clear head to see clear ahead, and let's get everyone home safely.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsor and administrator, Everbank N.A.
I think there's a lot of new potential and opportunities here. I think looking at the roster, looking at the coaches, hearing what they're trying to do here, that's something I wanted to be a part of to change, and I hope I could do my part. I want to do my part. I want to win football games and get that done.
Well, 9 new players. Makari coming from the Ravens. He's played all 5 offensive line positions. I know we talk a lot about culture changing, ecosystem, whatever you want to call it. I'm excited. I'm most excited to see what the offensive line room kind of turns into. Obviously, when you get a good turnover of players there were some great players there before. Mitch Morse retiring, of course. Brandon Sheriff becoming a free agent this year. So I think things will be different this year, and we want to start there. We've talked about the trenches for months and months and months. So to kind of set the tone there and be able to kind of redo that room, I'm excited to see it.
You know, you're taking a player out of the ecosystem he's in, but they bring with them part of the Ravens. Back in the day, Tom Coughlin liked to sign Steelers, right? Because he liked the mentality. Leon Searcy brought a lot. Deion Figures, the cornerback, brought a lot to that side of the ball. I'm excited for Makari. He was an undrafted rookie who started all along the line and earned this big contract. But because the Ravens have a sustained culture of winning, you know, you don't always think about them, although in recent years with Lamar Jackson, you know, they've been deep into the playoffs. But if you go back to 1997, their first year in Baltimore, since then, there were some rocky years early. They've been one of the winningest franchises in football. They're just quietly consistent, and this guy looks like one of those players that goes about his business in the right way, and that Raven way is something you'd like to see of here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I don't know that in terms of, you know, the sacred PFF grades that this line is going to be that much, you know, better individually than the line before, but I think it's going to have a different feel and a different mentality. It clearly the idea, get this team to be able to run on 3rd and short better, get this team to run when it matters better, and then if you do that, it sets up so much in the passing game, all the football 101 stuff. I think that is what you're looking for out of Hainsey and Makari. Can they bring you a little bit more of an edge where you feel more confident in that must run? And Kai, you and I watched games in the press box for the last 2 years. How many times have I looked at you and said, boy, 3rd and 1 seems like a long way.
It's been awful.
They need to have that feel shorter. That's this offensive line's job.
And I think that we talk about that feeling a lot. You want to be able to be confident in that, right? We're upstairs thinking that I don't think they're going to get it.
Well, defensive coordinators pick up on that, and so you can change your defense. When you know the other team doesn't feel confident running and you can stop that, when you can't do that, it limits your play calling so much offensively. If they're better there, Brian, they're better everywhere.
Listen, I know the quarterback is the number one story, but 1B is the offensive line giving him a running game.
Sure.
That to me is as important. In fact, that may be the reason that he develops this year, is if they've got the ability to convert on 3rd and short, or just to be able to run the ball consistently. If you go back and look at what Liam Cohen did last year in his year with the Buccaneers, they were a bottom 5 running game in 2023. They were a top 5 running game in 2024. They did get the rookie running back who came in and contributed in a big way, but they also had the same offensive line. I guess a rookie center stepped in and played pretty well too. You can make some changes, you can massage things. And if you could get these guys from bottom of the league on 3rd down and short to somewhere in the middle of the pack,
it's everything.
That would be a huge jump.
On the opposite side of the football, one of the bigger signings, Jordan Lewis coming from the Cowboys as a cornerback, just the tone he's going to set as a trash talker, of course, but also just in general with the defense. He talked a little bit about why he chose Jacksonville.
We were talking about, you know, just building a culture, you know, and being a cornerstone of that rebuild. And I've always wanted to be a guy to, you know, be known for that, you know, be known for a culture and be known to, you know, change culture. So I love a good competition, and I love a good challenge. So I feel like this was the perfect place for me to go out there and show that I belong in this NFL and belong to be as one, you know, known as one of the guys that, you know, changed the culture.
John, I think it always can be a little bit telling when you see what the former fan base has to say about him, and I think just the general vibe that I'm getting, at least from what Cowboys fans are saying and media that cover him, is, you know, he's worked for and earned every little bit, and that his role in the defense in Dallas was really underrated in the way that he kind of held everything together there.
Yeah, he's a good player and he makes plays on the ball, and I think more than anything, Lewis and Murray They needed guys they trusted back there. They're clearly not going to be here in 2028, right? They're older players. Maybe they will be, but the odds are they're not. So they are guys who you feel better about lining up with immediately. There were a lot of missed assignments last year in the secondary, some scheme stuff, whatever. They felt like they needed to get more solid back there and have more guys they could trust. Jordan Lewis is a guy you can trust.
If you want an indication of his ability to change the culture, he just showed you. He just said it to you. He's a guy who wants to prove that he belongs in the NFL. He's been in the NFL for 8 years, right?
Still wants
he
to do
played at Michigan and for the Dallas Cowboys the last 12 years. This is a guy, or 11 years, this is a guy who has belonged on the biggest stage for a very long time, and yet he still feels the need to remind you that he wants to prove himself. I like that. I like that kind of guy on the back end, because you've got to do that every single play, regardless of what happened the play before, but they need an injection, an infusion of that in this locker room.
As we talk about this team, we always say it will go as Trevor goes, so focus on the quarterback is going to be huge this year. Of course, that's why Liam Cohen was brought in, but Nick Mullins also coming in, quarterback having worked with Grant Udinski in Minnesota before, so kind of knows the system. He's excited to get to work with Trevor.
He's done a lot of really successful things. He's got every tool in the bag that you need to be successful. So I told him, like, I'm here to help you as much as you'd like. I like to think that my familiarity with the system and the concepts that we're going to run and the way to operate, I feel like that's going to be beneficial for Trevor and the whole room. And I can't wait to get started.
Brian, yes, backup quarterback, but having some people around you familiar with everything. So then when you're learning something new, this is another new system for Trevor Lawrence to be learning on offense, but having all those pieces in place has to be helpful.
And this is a system guy. I mean, he worked with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, who comes from that tree out of Los Angeles. He has been a part of it. Good move. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, and I thought he did a nice job in his availability. Let's hope that was 2 availabilities, his first and his last.
Yes.
If you're going to change systems and culture, at some point you have to change people within it. It's really hard to change quarterbacks. I mean, it's really hard to change systems for a quarterback if the quarterback at the existing spot is still around everybody who's talking old verbiage. Mullins, the first meeting, will be talking the verbiage of the new system. And that gets, when you're trying to learn Spanish, you go to a Spanish-speaking country. So I think that's a lot of it is he knows the system, he knows the verbiage, and if they're sitting around and there's no coach in the meeting and Trevor goes, hey, why'd they do this? Mullins can give him the quick answer and you move on. So it's a teaching position as well.
I think it's the little things important to remember that things are going to be in place for Trevor to kind of get acclimated as quickly as possible. Stay with us. We're going to do some hot takes after the break for you on Jags AM.
And that's a Magellan first down.
Move the freight. Move the freight. Move the freight.
Would you like to control your own income? Work at Magellan Transport. Voted the coolest office space in Duval. Bring your talents and let your career flourish. Visit their website at MagellanLogistics.com and apply online. Trust service. Trust Magellan.
Tired of drafty, noisy vinyl windows? It's time to say goodbye to vinyl. And hello to lasting comfort with Renewal by Andersen windows and doors. Our exclusive Fibrex windows are 2 times stronger than vinyl, more energy efficient, and custom built to fit your home perfectly. No more warping, no more cracking, just beautiful, durable windows that stand the test of time. Right now, get special financing or save big with limited time discounts. Call Renewal by Andersen today and say bye-bye vinyl. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com. Don't wait, upgrade today. License number CGC 1527613.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub-platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Move the freight, move the freight. Magellan Transport voted the coolest office space in Jacksonville. You can apply online at magellanlogistics.com. Welcome back into Jags AM. We haven't done some hot takes in a while, so now we're going to do a couple of hot takes, very preliminary draft hot takes, post-free agency, giving us a little bit more of a focus. Not really. We don't know exactly what they're going to do, but where we would want them to go with the draft. So, Brian, when you're looking at your hot take, very preliminary draft, where's your focus?
Big Ben rule. So give me an offensive lineman at number 5. There are some good ones that will be available, whether it's Campbell from LSU or Armand Membu from Missouri. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Both are guys that can play outside. Some are projecting both of them to be able to play inside, maybe be better inside. I just don't think you can go wrong with jamming that offensive line room, which has underperformed in recent years. We just got done talking about third down and short with as many really good players as you can. It's a good draft for defensive tackles. You could get one of those in the second round. There are opportunities for corner and wide receiver into the third round. So give me the big guy in the first round.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way they're going to go, but I would not rule it out because I think this offensive line, I don't necessarily think outside of Anton Harrison that anybody has a job locked up. The logical guys to start are the ones that are in the spots right now. But if you brought in number 5 and one of those guys had to sit, there's going to be competition. And there's going to be an attitude of, we have 7 or 8 starters on the offensive line. So I wouldn't rule that out. My hot take is that there's still a big need at wide receiver.
Yeah.
And they have Brian Thomas Jr. and they have Brown, so they're okay. Parker Washington, I think ideally is probably the 4th guy rather than the 3rd.
Yeah.
So I want what you want, which is rare. But
teaming up.
I want offensive line or I want defensive line early.
Yeah.
I would not rule out receiver early, and I think the first 4 picks are receiver, edge rusher somewhere, offensive line, and somewhere in the corner. So that's my thought on that. And then the 4th round pick is whatever I left out.
Well, you got 2 of them, so you can take both, right? I mean, you can find players.
Or trade up. Maybe he's Trader Jim.
That's my hot take.
Right. Okay.
I want some calls to be made because, as we mentioned, trade of Christian Kirk, there's now 21 draft picks in the next 2 years. That's a lot of capital. If you watched any of the behind-the-scenes stuff with the Rams, they love to trade around. They love to make moves. I don't know how splashy it needs to be, but if you can get rid of some of those picks, move up, get some people that you're targeting. If there's a couple more quality players and a couple less players coming in, I'm fine with that. I don't need another draft class of, 14 people. If we can get some people that are filling those key positions as John laid out, I'm good with that. I hope they get on the phones and kind of figure that out.
How many days until the draft?
Oh, goodness. Is it less than a month? Or is it a month?
No, about
5
45.
weeks. Yeah.
All right. That's plenty of time to get on the phone.
Sure.
We'll figure it out.
There's a sell plan.
Stay with us. We'll tell you what's coming up the rest of the week.
Can you imagine rising for work before the crack of dawn? Tending to hundreds of acres of land before dusk? Well, that's what happens on 47,000 Florida farms every day. Florida's farmers work hard to grow nutritious food for you and your family. And you can help support them by enjoying delicious Fresh from Florida produce. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo where you shop or visit freshfromflorida.com to learn more.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsored and administrator, Everbank N.A.
Hey, I'm Logan Cook, punter for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Driving distracted or stolen is dangerous for you, and it's dangerous for everyone on the road around you. Ride with Do Not Disturb. That call, text, or social media message can wait. Choose your music before you turn on the ignition. Anytime your eyes are not on the road ahead, you're distracted, so pay attention. But remember, Drive high equals DUI. Plan ahead, have a designated driver, keep a clear head to see clear ahead, and let's get everyone home safe.
Jags AM brought to you by Fresh from Florida. It's always in season.
I hope what they see is someone who cares. I hope that shows in my play. I think it does because I do. I care a lot. I care about my teammates. I care about the team. Those are the things that I want to be evident in my play. They want to see a guy finishing all the way to the whistle, picking up his teammates, first one there to get them. If I'm not doing that, text me, shoot me, tweet me, tell me I'm not doing it because that's important. That stuff's important to me.
It's Robert Hainsey in my one-on-one last week. He says if he's not doing what he needs to do out there, text him, tweet him. I don't think Jaguars Twitter needed that motivation, but they will find him if he's not doing what he needs to be doing. But that's what you want to hear, right? You want to hear someone that's accountable, knows what needs to be done, and wants to be held accountable by other people.
The magic words, I care about that stuff. Great. Again, that's what they were looking for with this free agent class, a group that would come in. They're going to get paid, obviously, and they're going to have to play, but you want that, what's the right word? Ecosphere? Ecosystem. Yeah.
John, with the next coming days, we talked about the draft, how far out it is. They do some visits with players. What's kind of coming up for the front office as they look forward to the draft?
Your next big step is the 30 players come in, and that's often an indication, not necessarily first round, but as you go through the draft, it's an indication of guys they like and guys who are on their short list that you're trying to find more about. Never believe what you read about the draft coming in, but that top 30 visit, Brian, it has in recent years sort of given you an indication of at least the kind of guy teams like.
Yeah, there'll be players on there that people's names, they won't be household names. Seth Payne walked through the door in 1997. He was a defensive tackle from Cornell. Why are you bringing this guy in? Because they like him and they took him. So there are players every year that will filter through that 30 and because they're going to be their fourth round pick.
Yeah, I believe Andrew Wingard, I think came in for a 30 visit and he was a free agent. So it's not necessarily about getting 30 guys in the first round. Yeah. It's about making sure you have a good feel for guys you like. It's a final look.
Very good. Keep an eye on that the coming weeks, and we'll be back with you next week here on Jags AM.